Taking into consideration all of the past cycles of Bitcoin halving, we can see that September is the month that serves as the spark for the entire cryptocurrency business. You are correct. We are talking about XRP, Solana, BNB, Ethereum, and all of these other cryptocurrencies seeing significant swings in movement at a very particular period throughout this halving cycle that I just said. As a result of the fact that the halving cycle has begun this year, we have a lot of things to look forward to for Bitcoin, for XRP, and for nearly every other cryptocurrency. In the video that I am going to show you today, however, I am going to demonstrate the precise cycle, how it begins, when Bitcoin is likely to reach $100,000 or even more, and when all of that liquidity is going to start flooding down to Ethereum, to XRP, and all of your other favorite cryptocurrency assets. Because this is going to be a very explosive bull cycle, and because it is likely to be different from any other bull cycle that has come before it due to a couple of important metrics that we are also going to discuss in the video that we are going to be showing today. To ensure that everyone sees this, please click the like button and then we can get started. First things first, I'm going to demonstrate something to you all that I have never demonstrated to you before. When any single cryptocurrency, stock market, or real estate boom is ready to come, it really shows pretty much by default, and it's something easy, okay? This is my little secret that truly reveals, if you look closely at this chart, you will find that there are a few things that are quite fascinating. The first thing to note is that if we look back to the years 2008 and 2009, there was a period of time when the total amount of dollars that were in circulation increased by an enormous amount. To add insult to injury, this is also around the time the markets began to rebound from the massive catastrophe that occurred during the financial crisis and began to rocket forward. Since then, there has been yet another significant growth in the total amount of money in circulation. Precedent levels in which we transitioned from the level of 15 trillion right here all the way up to 21 trillions of dollars during the course of the past 2 years today, if you were working in the cryptocurrency sector at the time. You might also remember this period of time since the Federal Reserve was printing trillions of dollars at the same time they were printing cryptocurrencies. What exactly was going on? Bitcoin, on the other hand, was reaching numbers that it had never seen before. I mean, we are talking about Bitcoin reaching $70,000 from a price that was unimaginable prior to that, as well as other digital assets such as Solana and XRP going up by a factor of 100 in a very short amount of time. The years 2020 to 2021 are under question here. As a matter of fact, Solana performed 100 times, and this is the moment when the entire globe understood something, okay? If the Federal Reserve is going to print money, then that money needs to go somewhere. And as a result, astute investors will invest the money that they are producing into a category of assets that enables them to keep their fortune intact. In addition, a lot of people view Bitcoin as a way to accomplish that. A lot of people saw Solana as a way to accomplish that. And a lot of people saw XRP as a way to accomplish that. And that is precisely why those assets made such a significant increase. On the other hand, I would want to demonstrate to you all a very particular stage in this cycle right now. In the month of February in the year 2020, and then again in the month of May in the same year, the supply totally explodes over the course of 3 or 4 months. It begins at 15 and continues all the way up to 18. Okay, it is completely ridiculous. Never in the history of the planet has something like this ever taken place. This is the highest amount of money that has ever been printed in the history of the globe. Okay, and that money creation lasted all the way up until February and March of the following year before we finally saw those interest rates beginning to rise up, which of course resulted in a decline in the amount of money that was circulating. And since then, it has been holding more steadily than it did before. But do you agree that it is still a little bit of a problem at this time? A great many of individuals were unsure about the direction that the economy was going to take. Nevertheless, let's take a look at what the cryptocurrency market was doing during this very same time period. Is the amount of time that passed before Bitcoin began to increase in value after the production of new coins began in February of 2020. As a result, this is the point at which we see something that is quite fascinating, all right? As soon as the Federal Reserve begins creating money, the market for Bitcoin immediately experiences a significant drop, going from $10,000 to almost $5,000. This is the instant effect. Nearly half of its worth is lost as a result. But what happens right after it loses over half of its value without any more delay is the place where they made all of the billionaires, and even some of the billionaires. That is, it goes from $5,000 per coin to $60,000 per coin just a year after the production began, which is actually literally a year after the printing began, okay, $500 to $60,000 in total. In other words, it is not necessary to be a mathematician to understand that if you had purchased a significant quantity of Bitcoin at the price of $5,000, you would have made an appalling amount of money. Nevertheless, what was even more revolting was the behavior of a number of alternative cryptocurrencies just a little bit later on in the cycle in the period that followed, which is to say 10 months after Bitcoin reached its all-time high. At this point, Solana had already done that 100 times that I had been telling you about, and this is where the real money was made. Moreover, it was not only in Bitcoin. While it is true that you could have made an incredible amount of money in Bitcoin by following this Fed cycle and this monetary cycle, it is also true that you could have made a great deal more money by investing in alternative cryptocurrencies. As a result, I would recommend that you acquire Bitcoin and include it in your portfolio, but you should also have a look at the following 5 advice. Because if we take a look at the charts for Bitcoin right now, we can see that it is beginning to decrease in price. And very interestingly, at the same time, what is going on with the Federal Reserve is that they are lowering rates. And many people see the immediate effect of the Fed lowering rates to be extremely bullish. Don't get me wrong, it's exciting because we all know that there is a possibility that the money may go back online, but we can't forget what happened here. These are the 8 alternative cryptocurrencies that you believe will receive a significant amount of liquidity after Bitcoin reaches its peak. The initial reaction to the federal government's decision to begin printing money in February of 2020 was immediately one of fear and terror. The market drops by 50%. There is a complete and utter destruction of the stock markets. The real estate markets are irreparably damaged. When that is followed by that is when the magic takes place, right? It wasn't until almost a year later that we reached our highest point ever. It is at this point that the money that has been created truly enters circulation, during which time individuals begin spending and making use of it. And they are making the decision, hey, I want to put money into something where I think it's going to stay around and not just disappear. This is, of course, due to the fact that people's money at that point was very literally just getting devalued to the point where $100,000 was then worth $70,000 a year later. I mean, if you truly give it some thought, that is really ridiculous. To put it another way, here is the thing that a lot of folks I see right now are not ready for. If the Federal Reserve keeps lowering interest rates, and of course if it also intends to begin creating money, then we are approaching a potentially hazardous period of time. It is possible that a great number of individuals will be caught off guard if they do not carefully observe prior cycles of the economy. In addition, as I demonstrated to you, this did not take place in the year 2020. The same thing occurred in 2008 when they were forced to save all of these large banks from failure. This has occurred not once, but multiple times. As a general rule, these monetary cycles are also pretty much precisely aligned with the cycles of Bitcoin halving. And a great number of individuals are perplexed by this. They ask themselves, all right, is this the cycle of the Bitcoin halving, or is this the cycle of the M2 monetary in the Federal Reserve? To add insult to injury, the explanation is that it is, in fact, the M2 Federal Reserve cycle occurring. They are the ones who are responsible for all of this because they are the ones who print money, which causes the currency to lose value, and they force individuals to choose alternatives to the United States dollar that are more suitable for storing their wealth. So here's the thing, it is quite likely that interest rates will continue to decrease in the future. Nevertheless, a great number of people are thinking, and what about 90% of the market, that if interest rates are lowered, then prices will go up. However, that is not the case. The situation is not as straightforward as that. There is a possibility that the price will increase once a year has passed, once we have reached the lowest point in terms of interest rates and the money picture has returned to the internet. That, however, is not going to continue on forever, men. To tell you the truth, we are going to see a tremendous dump in the beginning. And this is the point at which you guys should be ready to make a purchase. I mean, this already occurred during the most recent bull cycle for Bitcoin, for heaven's sakes. When we take a look at this, we see that Bitcoin reached at least $60,000 per coin right here in 2021, specifically in April of that year. Howdy, as you may recall, this is exactly 3 months later. Once again, it has nearly lost 50% of its value, and it is currently trading at $32,000 per coin. Additionally, I believe that we are going to experience the same thing here, guys. I believe that Bitcoin is heading towards a drop of 50% from its all-time high of $700,000, and then we are going to receive the second leg up and reach the genuine all-time high. And it was at that point that we actually reached our highest point in the cycle ever. And at that point, the alternative cryptocurrencies truly receive all of their liquidity. To put that into perspective, how many months are we still away from the height of our cycle right now? To put it into perspective, we are around 5 months away from the height of our cycle here.